Chapter 16 Friends Again. For the past couple of days, ever since Grandma and Grandpa Kind told Sammy the story about how kindness can be louder than anything in the world, especially a childhood disagreement, Sammy apologized to his teacher, Mrs. Frez, who was so surprised and happy to see that Sammy's kindness had come back. She was also surprised and happy to see that Sammy had finally gotten caught up on all his overdue homework. Even some of his friends were astonished to notice his changed behavior, but they were also happy to see that his kindness had returned. Samy wasn't at all surprised to see when Sammy apologized to her, and she was grateful that he brought the kindness back to himself. She even told him that she can call off the appointments with the school counselor. "Oh, Mom," said Sammy quickly, "I don't think you need to cancel my times with Mrs. Oakley. She's really a nice person, and I want to get to know her much more now that I feel better." "Okay," said Sammy, shrugging her shoulders. "But you do know that signing up for a school counselor means you should go to her whenever you need to. I hope you understand." "I do, Mom," said Sammy happily. "All right," said Sammy. "Oh, and another thing, Mom," he said quickly before forgetting. "I also understand that if you want to change our last name to your name, I'll be okay with it." Sammy looked at him with confused eyes. "Sammy, what are you talking about?" she asked. "I'm talking about changing our last name to your name. Isn't that what a mom can do?" "Oh," said Sammy, after realizing what Sammy asked. "Well, technically yes, but you know that you and Lucy were both born to me and your dad, right?" "Okay," said Sammy, feeling a little confused. "Well, your birth certificates were made official right after you two were born." "So," asked Sammy, "what are you saying?" "What I'm saying is—" Sammy held his breath. He was a little nervous to hear what was coming. "We're still the Kind family, and we're keeping that last name in honor of Dad." "We are?" Sammy asked excitedly. Sammy smiled and nodded. "Of course we are." "All right!" Sammy jumped for joy for half a minute, but then he stopped to think. "But, Mom, why would you say we're keeping the Kind name?" asked Sammy. She knelt down on one knee, rested her left hand on his right shoulder, and looked him in the eyes. "Because your father was a wonderful man, and you and Lucy are the reason. So, no matter what happens later on, I still have you and Lucy to remember him by. Just like I have Grandma and Grandpa to remember him by," Sammy said reasonably. "Exactly," said Sammy. "But what about Lucy?" asked Sammy, feeling confused. "You know," said Sammy, "one person she'll have to help her remember Dad. That can be you." "Me?" asked Sammy, pointing to himself surprisingly. Sammy nodded her head. "Yes, you can be like Dad to Lucy when she gets bigger." "I can?" asked Sammy. "But how?" "By being a good example to her," said Sammy. "And speaking of Lucy, I should check on her, because I think she woke up from her nap." Sammy listened carefully while Sammy stood up and let go of Sammy's shoulder. He could hear distant crying from above. His mother walked out of the living room and quickly climbed the stairs. "So," Sammy thought to himself, "I can still be kind to others by being a good example. And that's another way I can be like my dad. The next Saturday, Sammy was walking around the park in the snow when Flicker dropped down from the monkey bars. There were other kids there too. There was Parker, Lenny, Ashley, Stephanie, and Rosella. Spike was nowhere in sight for some reason. Sammy noticed that they all came toward him. "Hi, Sammy," said Flicker. "Are you all right?" "Yeah," said Sammy. "I've never been better. I'm glad I have all of you as friends. I'm sorry that I've been rude to a lot of you since I lost my dad." "Oh, it's okay, buddy," said Flicker, patting Sammy on the back. "It was Spike who's been rude," said Lenny. "He sure wasn't showing any respect to you." "What made you be nice again?" asked Ashley, with her dreamy eyes. "My grandparents gave me a piece of advice. I don't quite remember what it was, but I'm sure that you'll like it when I explain it to you eventually. It has something to do with being kind to not only friends, but to everybody, even those who are mean to you." "Oh, yeah?" asked Peter curiously. "Even to Spike?" "Yeah," said Sammy, nodding his head. "Even to Spike. Speaking of Spike, where is he?" "Oh," said Rosella. "Ever since you guys had that fight at school, he got grounded for 2 months." "Grounded?" asked Sammy. "For that long? Why?" "Well, you see," said Stephanie, "it's not the first time he's caused trouble like that fight at school. And he even got in trouble for pulling pranks on teachers," said Rosella. "But getting into fights is what gets him into the biggest trouble." "Well, I'm the one that actually caused the fight," said Sammy. "No, no, no," said Lenny. "It wasn't you. Remember, Spike was the one that said all those mean things to you that made you mad." "But that's when I caused the fight," said Sammy again. "No, Spike did," said Parker. "No, I did," said Sammy. "The fight was all my fault." "No," said Ashley, nearly shouting. "It was Spike's fault." "Okay, okay," said Flicker, bouncing his gloved hands in front of himself. "Come on, guys. If Sammy wants to say that causing the fight was his fault, he can say so. Besides, let's not cause a fight by talking about who really started the fight." "Thanks, Flick," said Sammy, giving him a high five. "In fact, I just wanted to thank you all for giving me at least another chance to be my friends, even though I haven't been much of a kind friend to you since my dad died," said Sammy. "I do miss him, but I'm glad you all came to the funeral." It's it's no big deal, Sammy," said Stephanie. "I'm sure your dad would have been proud of you, just like my dad told me that my grandmother would be proud of me for moving into this nice place and making new friends at the same time." "Did you lose your grandma?" asked Sammy. "Yeah," said Stephanie. "When I was 5 years old, I loved her so much, and I didn't want her to leave. But she told me that it was time, and that she was proud of me for getting used to this place, and knowing that I can have friends, especially you. You're the kindest boy I've ever met." "As a matter of fact, Sammy, you're the kindest boy we all ever met," said Parker. "Thanks, guys," said Sammy, smiling. "So would you like to start this friendship over again?" "I think we already have," said Rosella with a smirk. "Yeah," said Parker. "How about we just move on and have some fun on the playground?" "Okay," said Sammy. "I feel better already." "I'm glad you are, Sammy kind," said Parker. "Me too," said Letty. "So am I," said Rosella. "We're all glad that you are, Sammy kind," said Flicker. "Thanks, guys." "Oh," said Sammy. All right, shouted everybody, and they ran back out to the playground. Sammy stood there for a minute, happily watching his new friends run. Then he ran out to the playground to join the fun. The end. Wasn't that a good story? What do you think of it?